Greetings everyone, Brad here with Mild-Mannered EDC, and today we're going to do a mild-mannered quickie review of this new Kershaw, that's right, Kershaw, Brandywine. It is a 3-bladed traditional knife, slip joint, nail nicks, bolsters, pins, the whole full meal deal there on a traditional knife. And, Kershaw for 2020 has done a series of these. I think they have 3. We've previously reviewed the Culpeper on this channel, which I generally overall liked. I got a relatively wonky grind on mine on the blade. It's a single blade slip joint, but apart from that, which I think really was a one-off, other people I've talked to who have bought it since seem to indicate that they got a perfectly fine grind. And the grind on all of these 3 blades is done just fine. So there you go. So by and large, though, the fit and finish has been pretty good on these. Now, they're all sharing sort of the stainless steel bolsters, polished stainless steel bolsters, the G10 scales, and then the brass liners and pins, which is that nice traditional look that you want, or that many people want in these type of knives. So there you go. I believe the Brandywine is the smallest of the 3. So you've got the Culpeper, the Gadsden, and this Brandywine. The Gadsden, I think, is 2-bladed. So there you go. Yeah. So let's talk about this a little bit. We've got 3 blades. As I mentioned, they are all in 7CR 17 MOV. What I understand about 7CR is that they add a little more vanadium to that recipe, steel recipe, which gives you supposedly a little more wear, a little more toughness. I don't know. There are better steel channels out there, blade steel channels that you can go check out that can probably give you a lot better information on that, but that's sort of my understanding from the literature. So what do we got here? So for the first blade, let's start with the biggest. So the biggest blade on this is this clip point, and this clip point is 2.6 inches. Like I said, very traditional looking, very thin, pretty darn slicey. I mean, it's a nice thin blade. Not much to gripe about there. It's got the Kershaw logo on it, and then the KIA on the back, and obviously I think the model number, and then the China stamp. So this is a Chinese-produced Kershaw. But no, like I said, blade came very well, nice and sharp, very thin. This is a great little letter opener or, whittler or whatever you might do with a nice thin little blade like that. So pretty darn cool. Now, the next blade, kind of going in order here, is the little Warncliffe that they put on here, and I think that shows you that. The other thing I want to point out, and they all have this, and I didn't point that out on the clip point that well, but they all have a pretty nicely done, oops, I bumped the camera, sorry, a pretty nicely done little sharpening choil there. So you can get in there and do some sharpening on this and feel good about that. So I kind of give kudos to Kershaw for doing that. So there you go. So you got the little Warncliffe blade. I think this is about 1.8, 1.9 inches, something like that. And then you have a similarly sized third blade, which is the Spey blade, another very traditional knife on traditional slip joint type knives, a traditional blade on slip joint knives.
How could I have been unthawed in the 90s and traveled back to, oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
So there you go. Not not too bad at all. And again, you got that choil there. So those are the 3 blades you get. Definitely useful. They're all pretty small, like I mentioned, but I mean, the biggest blade is 2.6 inches, but that's all right. And that's what it's there for. So when this is all closed up, it is 3.5 inches. And when open with the biggest blade, the little clip point here, you're at 6.2 inches when you're all from tip to tail there. And then you've got a thickness this way of 0.6 inches and a weight of 2.3 ounces. So there you go. A nice little knife. You're getting 3 blades there. Very traditional look. Some people really don't like the nail nicks. Some people do. I don't know. I've always, they never really bothered me. I obviously use them on Swiss Army knives and everything. And so maybe let's do a size comparison here. I think that's helpful for a lot of people. So that's what we're looking at on a Kershaw Brandywine versus a classic Swiss Army knife here in mild-mannered colors. So as you can see, it's kind of very much in the wheelhouse there. It's definitely thinner, this way. But the blade, I think you might even, I guess it's hard to tell. Maybe you're pretty much neck and neck there on the blades. I think a little more cutting edge here on the Brandywine. And then, from a thickness standpoint, obviously, I think they're about the same. But there you go. Yeah, so that's kind of gives you that sense with the Swiss Army knife. I guess we could look at a Benchmade bug out too if you want to kind of get some context there from a regular traditional type folding knife. So there you go. So that's that. So as I think I mentioned, you've got this G10, which is done very, very nice. You know, they've done it on all of their models. It's done really well with the brass liners and stainless steel bolsters and the brass pins there. All done very flush, very smooth. The fit and finish for a knife this that costs, you know, I think this costs about 20. I think you paid about $24. I think full retail that I saw was like 39 or something. But you know, for that price, you're getting pretty darn good fit and finish here. So I definitely appreciate that from Kershaw. The only real gripe that I have on this particular knife is on the edges. Let's see here. As you can see right there, these edges are very catchy and when the knife is closed up, especially this one here. You can kind of see that. It's very catchy on, it's just sharp and catchy. Compared to on this case, this is a Case Mini Trapper, you can sort of see the difference in the rounding that they do on the case, which just makes it sort of a much smoother, it's just not catching on anything at all there. And granted, this is, you know, much more expensive, and frankly, that's a whole other conversation. But yes, that's kind of the biggest fit and finish gripe I have on this, is that they could have done some rounding there to maybe make that a little bit nicer. But again, you know, for $25, you know, I don't know. You can gripe, I guess, if you want. But other than that, like I said, I feel like the fit and finish is done pretty darn well. Action-wise, you know, it's got a long pull, right? So it's one pull. There are no half stops or anything in any of these knives. By and large, though, very snappy, right? So, yeah, I mean, they've all got a nice snap to them when they're open. And when they're open, they've got a pretty nice backspring. So it's not, you know, you can feel pretty comfortable that this isn't going to just close on you. But once you get to that point of no return, right, that's sort of right there, boom, they're going to come right down on you. And that's the same with all these. But again, having that nice, well done backspring, I think, is also a compliment to this, because it isn't just a knife that's going to flop on over on you. And again, you know, Swiss Army knife, you know, of the two, I think the Kershaw has a slightly stronger backspring, at least on this one. But there you go. So that's what you get with all three of these blades, is a well done backspring and the ability to kind of, and the size makes it actually pretty darn nice to use. I mean, it's and very pocket friendly. So, you know, overall, blade, handles, materials, scales, you know, it's hard to, this is a little traditional knife, right? I mean, there's not a whole lot more to say about it. It's very nice. Traditionals have definitely become more popular of late, it feels like to me. Probably not just to me. I think everybody would agree that these are becoming a little more in vogue or coming back in vogue, if you will. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that have always enjoyed them and carry them around. Many people carry them as your EDC. And in some ways you could argue, you know, a Swiss Army knife has never really gone out of style, and that's just a traditional slip joint. So, you know, but this style of sort of look and feel definitely feels like it's coming back a little bit. So I know Patty over at Patty's Potato Peelers really enjoys a lot of slip joints, and he talks a lot about them. I know he's over in the UK, so he has, you know, locking knife laws and things like that. So, you know, I think for a lot of folks, this is these type of knives are a good option. But he talks a lot about them. He does great reviews on a lot of really cool slip joints. So go check his channel out if you're interested more in these type of knives. I'm not a huge slip joint guy. I've got a few of them, but by and large, they're not they're not really my first choice for the type of EDC that I use. But there you go. So this is the Kershaw Brandywine. You know, what do you think? It's interesting. Do you like that Kershaw? Let's see if I can do all this without cutting myself. Do we like that Kershaw is doing this? Is it nice to see see them go this route? Like I said, I was fairly impressed, apart from the weird grind I got on the Culpeper. I'm sort of equally impressed both on the price and the fit and finish and overall materials that you're getting here on the Brandywine. Very interesting. I think I've seen these in stock in a few places. Some other places were taking some pre-orders. So, you know, again, this is something that appeals to you. Check it out. I mean, I think for the price of $25, this is a fun little knife, and you're not going to really, I think, regret it all that much at all. I mean, it's kind of hard to say that when it's pretty darn affordable for just about everybody. So, and like I said, done relatively well across the board, hard to argue with. So pretty nice job, Kershaw. I'm impressed. I'm glad to see you doing these. I don't know if I'm going to pick up that third one, the Gadsden, and do a trio of videos. I suppose I could. I feel like I'm kind of running into just same old here, so so I'm probably not going to do that. But I might. So keep an eye on the channel. That may be there or not. But anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this review. I hope you've enjoyed the Quickie. The Kershaw Brandywine, very interesting little 3-bladed knife. Good little pocket knife option at a good price. So that's my overall take on it. Be safe out there. Be mild-mannered to one another. And all the best.